are up. I think. Yes. Alrighty. Cool. So, what's up, y'all? Good morning, y'all. Or, I guess, afternoon. I have been live for all of 1.5 minutes, and I'm going to be very quickly just going over futures, a few names that I'm looking at personally, and then I'll be taking viewer names. So, yeah. Okay, cool. Looks like things are going smoothly in terms of this thing running correctly. Alrighty. Yo, what is up, team? This is Art, and I'm going to be going over my Sunday stock talk, Sunday watch list. This is going into the week of the 26th, last week of April. This month has gone by unnecessarily quick, but let's get this thing on the road. So, firstly, /NQ/ES/VX. Basically, here's what I think we're going to be seeing. Based off of what we saw in that close for Friday, I was unfortunately kind of under the weather for it, so I didn't really get to trade it, but I did watch the charts once I actually got, started feeling better, and I noticed that we had this huge pump. So, firstly, a very clean double bottom that we had on an hourly chart. And I think that we can maybe see a pretty clean track back up to the 14,000 mark on /NQ. Overall, when I look at this thing in terms of maybe a 4-hour chart, this thing looks like a huge cup and handle. And that excites me. So, that said, I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on /NQ for this cup and handle, especially if it breaks above 14,000. And I'm also looking at ES because it does have a rounding bottom in terms of a 5-minute chart, and it also has that double bottom / cup and handle that we're seeing on a 4-hour chart. Right here is kind of this little place of contingency, but if we can definitely get back above this previous resistance spot at 41.80, I think we'll definitely watch this thing rip, especially with earnings going into this week. Or really, there's a lot of tech, so we're going to be watching Qs move the most, but yeah. We've also got /VX, that is the VIX. So really quick, this is kind of having a double top moment. I would love for this thing to break below 19 and to head even lower back down to these 16 marks where we don't have that many or that much volatility. And when we have that, clearly we're seeing a huge push to the upside. Not a lot of people are fearing what could potentially happen in the market, and that usually fuels more buying when it comes to people taking trades. So next, I'm going to be going over my actual watch list itself. So here's Apple, Amazon, looking at Tesla. So really quick, Apple, I had done the charting of this a few days ago. This has a massive cup and handle, and I think that if we can get this thing back above 135, we can definitely see this thing break and run back up to 137 plus, especially with their earnings being on, I believe they're on Wednesday. Yeah, on Wednesday after close. So that is definitely something to consider going into the end of this week. On top of that, we also have Amazon with the same similar cup and handle pattern on the 4-hour chart. I'd love to see Amazon get back above 3,400. And I think that they could definitely run a lot higher based off of that setup of this cup and handle. But obviously, it is kind of contingent on that push back above. But we did ping a reversal to the upside at 3338.77. So again, just something to consider here. I also have Tesla here. Tesla has been kind of in this consolidation phase for the past couple of days. They've been riding on top of 200-day moving average, bounced here, and here. And so overall, I think it looks pretty decent in terms of overall performance. They can definitely push back to 750. I'd love to see them make a trek back up to 800. but we will have to kind of wait for something like that. Overall, though, I do like Tesla, and I believe they're also earnings on a Wednesday, but let me just double check that really quick. Tesla, oh no, Tesla's tomorrow on after close. So definitely something to be keeping an eye on. I'm definitely not swinging positions because that's not something I like to do, especially when it comes to an earnings week. So just something to consider. Next we have, I like looking at Costco, Home Depot, and Starbucks. So, okay. So here's Costco. Costco had a super nice V-shaped recovery, especially off of this bull flag that we had initially. This was something that me and my team had taken a huge advantage of because since it kept having these green days, the premiums were relatively pretty normal. However, a $2 move on a 3-week out expiry was paying out like absolutely crazy. So overall, I do like Costco in terms of just long term. I would like to see them above 375 to continue this upside trend. Otherwise, they might try to round out a top. I'm gonna sit on my hand a little bit for that, but overall, I do like the setup that Costco has just to continue upward. Same thing kind of applies to Home Depot. I think Home Depot had a very clean bounce off of the 50-day moving average in terms of a 4-hour chart. Notice that we bounced off 50 SMA and we pinged a potential reversal to the upside at 323.5. I would like to see them round out this MACD, and we could potentially head even higher from here to retest at least that 328 mark. They are firing a 3 in terms of our custom indicator. This is showing a short signal right now at the 3 mark. We have a neutral RSI, so we would love to see, or we would need to see this thing kind of hold onto the 50 SMA before we take it to the upside, or rather to continue to the upside. I also have Spucks right here. This is Starbucks. This has a kind of a little bull flag going on in terms of the hourly chart, and when you look at this thing in terms of a daily or a 4-hour chart, notice we have this very clean bounce, almost like a little bull flag kind of off of this 50 SMA. I would love to see them retest the all-time high at 119. This is because of this huge bounce right here. We pinged a possible reversal at 116. Notice our MACD is crossed to the upside, and we did have a pretty large RSI reset back down to neutral, but it is back into the bullish territory. We're currently pinging almost a little small little bull pennant right here. So overall, I am pretty bullish on Starbucks going into this week. I would definitely consider them in towards the top of my watch list going into this week. I do like them a lot. Lastly, I'm going to just pull up a few more here. Here's JP Morgan. I feel like we can maybe see a move with them depending on how tech performs. Here is Microsoft and here is Netflix. So overall, here is JP Morgan. It is kind of rounding out a top. Overall, I think we might just see this thing continue a downtrend, but if we do see tech start to miss earnings, I will definitely be considering this thing to the upside. I will be taking it long, mainly because of the action that we normally see when we see money move out of tech. We'll watch it go into, we'll watch this thing move into finance stocks. So overall, I am definitely a fan of JP Morgan to the downside, but if we do see tech start to perform not to expectations, we'll definitely take this thing to the upside to at least retest the 200-day moving average, and then ideally back up to these highs. We also have Microsoft right here. Microsoft is crossing to the upside in terms of our MACD line. It is very bullish in RSI, and it is firing a 0 on the custom indicator set. So notice the 0 shows up as a green line. That just means go long. We did ping a reversal to the upside at 260.2. So overall, I think that Microsoft definitely has a lot of space to run going into the end of this week. And I think that with that said, we can definitely move a little higher with it. That said, obviously be a little careful with all the kind of movement that we've been seeing with the market, especially with what we saw on Thursday and then Friday with that huge dump and then pump back up. Also, I forgot to mention, but Starbucks does have their earnings after close on Tuesday. So, again, something to consider. I don't know how they performed last time for earnings. I don't like playing earnings in terms of buying stuff at the end of the day and then watching it go to the upside or something, but just something to consider. Lastly, I have Netflix. Netflix has been having a huge struggle at the 550 mark. it has just been getting absolutely demolished. And notice that they failed their earnings. They're trying to cross back to the upside. If we can see tech rally, we might see them head a little higher. But as of right now, I think this could turn into an H pattern. And if they turn into an H pattern, we'll definitely see them retest this low, at least of earnings. And if they fall below 500, I'm taking them down to the ground. I'm not a big fan of Netflix in terms of price action because they do have a really weird spread. But overall, I think it looks pretty decent to the downside if they can kind of break this crossover to the upside and head lower. Let's see, what do we got? All right, well, that's pretty much all I'm looking at. I'm going to be opening up the room for any sort of member tickers. So taking tickers below here. And then if you're on YouTube watching, I have the chat box open for you guys to give me any tickers that you'd like me to check out. So I've got MA, NVDA, I've got RIOT, and I'll do these ones for right now. Okay, so firstly, I have MA. Really quick, they did break this double top, kind of this little rounding top that we saw previously around mid-March. I would like to see them break above the 390 mental resistance spot. Overall, though, I think that this does look like a normal cup and handle, and you can definitely see this thing head higher going into the future based off of this trend line that we have, or not the trend, this trend pattern. But you do need a break above the 390 mark. Notice that we have these huge green candles trying to break above, and then followed by a red, and then another green, with it getting pushed back down with that next red candle. Overall, you would have to be very careful with it. But if you can get this thing above 390, I would definitely consider it to the upside. Next, I have NVIDIA. NVIDIA did break to the upside with this cup and handle. Overall, I think it's pretty strong. It has a reversal to the upside on the 4-hour chart. It's about to cross over on MACD, and it has a neutral RSI. I would like to see it above 315, which is the 50 SMA, and above there, I would definitely consider it long and to retake 620 and 630. Overall, I think it's pretty strong. I have RIOT. I haven't traded RIOT since it was around like $60 a share. Overall, I haven't been playing it because of this really crappy price action. On top of that, I don't think that they're very they're not a very good buy as of right now. They're trying to round out a bottom currently. If I'm short, I would consider exiting my shorts pretty soon, but if I'm long on it, unless I'm buying shares, I wouldn't consider doing it. We did ping a possible reversal we did ping a green reversal at 37. We have a crossover on MACD, but we are still bearish in terms of RSI, so I would be kind of patient with it. Overall, I'm not a big fan of RIOT. Let me see, Square and PayPal. And Mara. And sorry that I sound a little under the weather. This vaccine, man, has got me, like, snoring, bro. But overall, I mean, I think it's pretty much done in terms of sickness and how I feel. But, yeah. Overall, here's Square. Or overall, I'm feeling okay now. But here, we can have, like, a little W bottom, double bottom on Square around that 210 area. It did ping a green reversal at 243. You have a potential crossover on the MACD lines in terms of the 4-hour chart. A little bit on the iffy side right now, mainly because you have the 50 SMA overhead, but you do have a pretty neutral RSI. So I think that if you can stay above the 20 and the 9 SMA at 245, you can definitely see this thing rip back up to the 256, 255 mark, depending on if you can keep that crossover. I do like Square potentially as maybe like a cup and handle. This is trying to turn into the handle. But overall, I'm going to be a little patient with something like that. Next, I have PayPal. PayPal is kind of that same setup right now with that cup and handle that we're seeing. MACD is about to cross. We pinged reversal to the upside at 265, and we are going from 3 to 0 on our custom indicator. We have a pretty neutral RSI. Overall, I'd be pretty bullish on PayPal, especially above the 50 SMA at 268. Lastly, I have Mara. Mara is very similar to what we saw on RIOT. I'm just not a big fan of the setup here. You have a crossover and a reversal to the upside at 31.28. You have we're pretty neutral in terms of our custom indicator, and then RSI is pretty bearish. I wouldn't take this thing unless I was in short already, but overall, it's not really something I'm willing to play right now. I've got Netflix, already did Netflix. I did Target. I've already done Home Depot. LULU. Piton. Okay. So really quick, Target is trying to break above this trend line that I had previously drawn in one of our previous live streams. So notice that we've had this kind of overarching trend line that we've been following pretty much to the T. If we can hold on to 20 SMA and break above this trend line, I definitely think that we'll see Target make a huge run. But as of right now, we are rounding out a top. Notice we have a MACD cross, and it is coming out of the overbought in terms of RSI. We are also coming off of the 0 line in our custom indicator. I would be very patient if I'm taking this thing long. I would be very, very inclined to take short, especially with this reversal to the downside. Next, I have LULU. LULU is relatively bullish here. It is a little on the overbought side. It is firing a 0 though, and you have a crossover. I remember mentioning it as kind of a rounding bottom back around 316 off of this 200-day moving average, but overall, I mean, I would want to see the test of 345. That's like the main thing for me right now. I also have Peloton. Peloton is currently trying to triple bottom here. I would maybe consider it long, especially with this reversal to the upside, and have your stop loss at 100. Let me set that up really quick, actually, because I might take something like this. But what I would do is take it as a triple bottom, crossover, and then take it to the 200-day moving average at like 110. Overall, I think it's pretty okay. Let me see. What do I got here? I already did Square. Someone asked for Burke. I was probably not even serious. GM. I already did Mara. Boeing. And what else do we have? SE. I don't know what SE is, but I know that I had charted it recently and it rocketed. Yeah, that was that huge rocket ship that we saw on it recently. But overall, I mean, I'm checking out GM right here. That's General Motors. General Motors, in terms of a daily chart, looks like it's trying to pull off a H pattern in terms of a daily. I would be very inclined to take this thing short, especially below 56. Overall, I'm not a big fan of the current setup that it's got. Again, it needs to break above either 58 for upside or 56 for downside. A little too early to call. I also don't know the price action for a stock like this. Next is Boeing. Boeing has been absolutely beat up recently. I'm not a big fan of its recent price action. It did confirm this H pattern. Notice how as soon as we fell below 240, it did dip even further down at 230. Overall, if you can't see this thing break back above 240, I would continue taking this thing short, especially with this maybe looking like a bear flag. You do have a crossover to the upside on MACD. RSI is looking pretty okay. You came out of oversold into a somewhat neutral position. I would be maybe inclined to take this thing long, but overall, I'm not a huge fan of the setup that it's got to the upside at least. I like this thing short. Next, I have SE. I think we kind of already saw the move for this thing, to be honest, but let me check it out on a daily chart. Yeah, I'm just not really a big fan of this. Maybe take it from 260 back up to 270, but overall, I wouldn't be taking something like this. TDOC, that's TDOC. I already did Square, Visa. I already did Home Depot. Let me see. What do we have? Okay, so that's Visa and then A, B, and B. So TDOC is currently looking like an age pattern. I think that if this thing crosses back downwards, we'll definitely take this thing short as a retake of 178. And if it goes even lower than that, obviously I'm going to continue taking it short. Overall, though, I'm not a big fan of how flat it's been recently. But if you can catch this thing back under 178, I definitely think that we'll see it head even lower. Here's Visa really quick. Visa had a very strong V-shaped recovery off of this random dip that it had. I think it was off of Fed news. They're very strong in terms of a 4-hour chart. I would continue taking these guys to the upside personally, but that's because I have a vested interest in them. I'm long on shares, so just something to consider. Airbnb is perfectly double bottoming this like 165 mark. They are looking relatively bullish. I would love to see them above 20 SMA or maybe even the 180 mark and to continue back up to 190 and then 200. Overall, I think that if you can get this crossover, it would be pretty strong. Etsy. Let's check it out. So Etsy is kind of weird. Let me see. What about daily chart? It's kind of range bound right now. I don't really like what I'm seeing currently with Etsy. It's a little too range bound for me. Let me check it out maybe on a 4-hour chart. It did break above 200 SMA. Maybe take it to 225, 220. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of just in a range. I mean, you can take it throughout this range, but overall, I'm not a big fan of the current setup. Maybe take it to 220. Intel. I don't like this this kind of dump that we saw. It did double bottom kind of nicely at the 58 mark. I'm not sure. Oh, that was on earnings. Ooh. I don't usually play earnings catalysts because it kind of throws out technical analysis out the window. Overall, I don't think I would be playing something like this in the first place, to be honest. It looks kind of to be honest. But yeah. If anyone has any other tickers, feel free to type it into the chat. If not, I think I'm going to call it here. This is kind of a quick little Sunday stock talk, but I am glad for you guys tuning in. I appreciate it. Futu and Avgo. Okay. Check if we got anything here. No. Okay. Cool. So Avgo, this is Broadcom. You do have a crossover in terms of a 4-hour chart. You did come out of the oversold in terms of RSI. I would love to see them above 470 before I take them any higher than what they're currently at. But overall, they do look relatively strong. From 470, I would take it to 476 and then retake 480. I already did Costco. Intel, we already did that. Futu just pinged a reversal to the downside at 137 on a daily chart. They do look like they're bear flagging. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw this thing eventually hit 100 at one point. I don't like the current setup that it has for the upside, but to the downside, I wouldn't mind taking it to at least retake the 130 and then go even lower. Cool. Alrighty. Well, I guess I'll call it here. I wasn't expecting that to be so quick, but that's all right. Overall, I mean, if anyone has any other tickers that you'd like me to check out, feel free to just DM me that kind of stuff. But overall, I think I'm gonna call it here. Yeah, I think that's it. Let's see. Yep, thank you. Yeah, feel free to subscribe to the channel if you'd like. This is ArtsTrading on YouTube. I'm at 296 subs. I would appreciate y'all if you dropped a follow. But yeah, overall, that is going to conclude today's Sunday Stock Talk. I appreciate you guys all for tuning in, and I will catch you guys in the next one. I've been a little away recently because I've been a little under the weather, and I've also been swamped with exams and stuff, which is really kind of crappy, but it happens. But I am going to be a little more active going into this week now that I'm kind of away from that hurdle. So overall, I'll see you guys going into this week. I'll catch y'all later. Peace.